Hey, welcome to Practically Grown,
a bi-weekly podcast where we bring you our own special brand of golden heathenry,
where we bring you a variety of topics that will enlighten your mind
and practically grow your life.
Thank you for tuning in to Practically Grown for episode 3. This week, we'll be talking about some natural alternatives to medicines and household products. We share our curiosity and some of our experiences with natural products that we've tried or want to try. And we talk about why they might be better than manufactured items. Here's our show. Enjoy.
So today's quote is, "Health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity." Today our main topic is going to cover forms of alternative and complementary medicine, as well as kind of take a look at what we view as modern medicine that we use today. So, first off, when you guys think of traditional medicine, what do you think of?
Things that require a visit to the doctor or the hospital, things that require you to always come out of pocket for something.
Usually medicines are kind of like treating the most people that they can. So it's not really specialized. Like I think of like penicillin. Like they'll prescribe penicillin for everything, and it's like kind of a blanket response.
Well, with traditional medicine, I think of it as like the stuff that our parents used to take when they were younger. It's like not what is it? Not like store-bought drugs or
like a
the
hot
medicine that you get from. Yeah. Or like, what is it? Castor oil? Not
Oh,
castor
Jesus.
oil. Yeah, castor oil. Or some nasty stuff that my dad said his mom used to give him whenever they were sick, and I was like, that's disgusting.
Okay, so the National Cancer Institute defines Western or modern medicine as a system in which medical doctors and other healthcare professionals, such as nurses, pharmacists, and therapists, treat symptoms and diseases using drugs, radiation, or surgery, also called allopathic medicine, biomedicine, conventional medicine, mainstream medicine, and orthodox medicine. So this is stuff, basically when they're prescribing you this medicine, they're focusing on treating the root causes of the symptoms you're experiencing, whereas alternative and traditional methods will treat the person as a whole, mind, body, and spirit. Some modern drugs that you're going to look at are painkillers, so like your aspirin, stuff you can buy in the store basically, Benadryl, all of that you can buy over the counter will be considered modern medicine. Doctors will also prescribe steroids, which can be in the form of creams or oral medications, antibiotics for when you get really sick, or numbing medications. Say you go to get a tooth pulled or a cavity filled, they're going to give you some type of numbing medication. The benefits can include faster recovery. They'll eliminate germs. It's something that we find very familiar to us because it's what our parents gave us. It's what their parents gave us. And one of probably the best things about it can be stored for up to 3 to 4 years. So you can go get your prescription today, and most of the time your expiration date is going to say 2 to 3 years from now, minimum. But if you were to get something that was made from all natural products, say it has no preservatives, so that means it doesn't have chemicals or anything that'll preserve it. Natural preservatives, even using natural preservatives, they're not going to last as long as it would be as, say, we use a synthetic preservative. Any questions so far? We're good?
Why do you think that is? Like, why, like, I mean, I know that things in nature naturally decay so that it will be like a normal rhythm, but like, do you know of any like natural preservatives that at least hold things longer, like salt back in the day for meat and stuff?
So far, in my few years of research and experience, I've seen products that have ascorbic acid.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some places where you can buy these different things, like, for example, the main thing that makes sunscreen work. I forgot what it's called. Let me look it up. I think it's called sodium hydroxide. Don't quote me on that. But there's this particular ingredient that you can actually buy from a website to make your own homemade sunscreen.
Ascorbic acid,
A lot of times,
that's vitamin C, right? Am I tripping? Let me look that up.
Yeah, and they'll also use vitamin E as a preservative sometimes too.
That's interesting. Those are very cool vitamins.
And I have vitamin E in my bathroom right now.
And then sometimes, like, they don't just use vitamin E oil. Like, sometimes I'll see people making their homemade products, and they'll squeeze the stuff that's in the vitamin E capsule into whatever they're making. I mean, vitamin E is good for you, but they're like, sometimes I hear debates on, well, this is mostly man-made, or this it's not pure. Okay. And when you really think about it, anything we get, most of the time it's not going to be 100% pure. It's really hard to keep something from being contaminated or from having it contaminated unknowingly because you're not fixing it yourself. You're not picking it yourself. You have to trust these companies to do what they say they're going to do.
Yeah.
I think that we as a society are so paranoid about any kind of germs being in stuff that companies just automatically do some kind of modification to the product. So even if they're advertising it as natural, something's been done to it, you know. Unless you go to like one of those really hippie places or a place where they're just really, really health conscious, you're really just gonna have to take that risk.
Okay, well, let me backtrack real quick. Going back to making your own sunscreen, wellnessmama.com is one of those websites that not only do they share homemade remedies and information about the ingredients used, they also give you like a recipe. So they have this one for a natural sunscreen, and the ingredient I was looking for was zinc oxide.
Okay.
I know you can go on bulkapothecary.com. They carry different butters, waxes, oils, candle equipment. So they'll have like fragrance oils for your candles. They have so much stuff. But you can buy zinc oxide from that website. And then you can turn around and make your own sunscreen. And she's using almond oil. It says it has an SPF of around 5. Coconut oil, SPF between 4 and 6. Zinc oxide can have an SPF of 2 to 20, depending on how much is used. And then she lists a couple other things in the recipe that you can also use to make it.
What does the zinc oxide do? Do you know?
As far as I know, it's just one of the active ingredients. I know I've looked at like a bottle of sunscreen before, and they'll say zinc oxide. So I think it's just one of those active ingredients that help protect you from the sun. The same way shea butter is considered to be have like UV protection properties, and it's actually listed in one of her. It's listed in this recipe as having an SPF of.
I don't know what SPF means either. So.
Sun protection factor.
Okay.
I think it means sun protection factor. So the idea is the higher the SPF, the more protection it's supposed to provide. But they'll also have like baby sunscreen that has a lower SPF. Mm-hmm. So I have a sensitivity to SPF in products. I can't use if I were to go out and buy a chapstick, the first thing I have to make sure it doesn't have is sunscreen. And so it lets me know that they put some type of sunscreen product in there if it says SPF whatever. I think a lot of times chapsticks will have like SPF 15. I know the chapstick brand actually has some that they do with sunscreen. So what we discovered was if I use sunscreen, it has to be baby sunscreen. And so theirs will be a whole lot lower than whatever adults would use. But you have to think about it. Babies have more sensitive skin. It's a lot more tender, and it can react to a lot more. So it would only make sense if they had their own specific products. Just like you have specific body wash for babies, because certain ingredients can be harmful or detrimental to their skin. So for people with the SPF sensitivity like me, that's like the next to best option unless I'm making something at home. And I remember like first starting to work with butters, shea butter was supposed to be something that has a lot of UV protection in it. And so far, like in my use of it over the couple of years, I haven't had any irritations with it. So I would say that the SPF is so low that it doesn't trigger whatever it is in my immune system that doesn't like it.
Just going off of that, as you were talking about your skincare and stuff like that, I looked at what zinc oxide does, and so apparently now I'm a little excited because it's a lot of really cool science, but bypassing all that, zinc oxide essentially helps to reflect up to or UV light, or it reflects a wide array of light, but it pretty much scatters it or absorbs the light and turns it into something else. So that's pretty cool. That's more of like inorganic chemistry, but that's pretty cool. But what this is also saying is that zinc oxide is one of the ones that sits on top of your skin where a lot of other sunscreens actually absorb into your skin. So I don't know, that maybe your issue with the sunscreens is that maybe you're getting ones that absorb into your skin and or bloodstream and they're making you a little irritated. I don't know, but
I can see that as a theory because the recipe that I was referring to, Wellness Mama, the one that she's using, it says this is a non-nano version that won't be absorbed into the skin.
Okay.
So that's my first time ever being made aware that there was a difference in the kinds of zinc oxide. I just know it comes in different forms, like you can get it in a powder, I think there's a flake version available somewhere. Sort of like how they have soy wax flakes. I think they also have some for zinc oxide.
What I was going to ask earlier is you mentioned vitamin E and vitamin C to being the ones that are used for preservatives. Well, I mean, I know a little bit about them in the body, and they usually are for antioxidants. So is that does that matter for preservatives? Do you know? Like, I don't know how preservatives really work. I just know at least for vitamin E and vitamin C together, usually what they do is protect against what we call free radicals. So I don't know if those free radicals might break down something or if that's even something you would get into. I'm just curious now.
Well, based on this article that I just pulled up, it's saying that because it's an antioxidant, when you add it to an oil, it sort of preserves its life for a little bit longer. Because if you think about it, antioxidant, it wants to avoid oxygen in whatever it is.
That makes sense.
And so the reason, like, it being exposed to the open air, it could die. The project, that's B-roll right there.
Yeah,
being exposed to oxygen, it'll deteriorate a lot faster. So if you add an antioxidant, it can help preserve not only your skin that you're going to use it on, but it'll help preserve the product a little bit better. Also, putting your stuff in airtight containers is another good way to preserve it.
No, you actually make a very interesting point that I completely forgot about. The reason, like, one of the things that you can use vitamin E and vitamin C for are actually for keeping your cells intact. So, like, the cellular membrane is essentially fats and, let's just say fats for this talk. But what will happen is the vitamin E and vitamin C will work together in order to protect, because the radicals will make a hole in the fat. And so now that you're saying, yeah, it will protect the lipids, that makes, like, a lot of sense. I just never would have thought about that as far as preservatives go. That's cool. Okay. Now that we got off track, continue.
It's not really that far from the track because it's still it's really along the lines of what we're talking about, because we're highlighting some of the differences that we see in modern medicine versus like stuff that we can just go out to the store and buy and put together ourselves.
Yeah. Sorry, can I add something real quick?
Go ahead.
I just, going on the topic of sunscreen and SPF, I think it's interesting how stores like to advertise, or companies like to advertise SPF 50 and above, but research shows that once you go past 50, there's really not that much difference in the strength of the SPF. So you're paying more money for nothing, basically.
You say 15?
I think that's what a lot of big companies do. You said 50. 50. I think a lot of companies do that, though. Like, okay, for example, when I make my products, I'm working on expanding some of the stuff that I work with, like the different herbs and everything. But I feel like that's something that I don't really want to rush into, because again, some herbs cost more than others. Some are harder to find, harder to grow, whatever the case may be. Mm. So I see like some companies, they'll have this wild hair growth oil, and it's got like 60 different herbs in it. And in my mind, I'm just like, 60 different herbs? Like, just running some basic numbers in my head, you've already spent over $100 on the supplies. And it's like, most of the time, people aren't even selling this stuff that expensive. Mm-hmm. So it looks good, but it makes me wonder, realistically speaking, what's the quality of your oil? What are you actually putting into the product? What's the quality of the herbs you're getting? Where are you getting it from? Because if you're able to sell this product at such a low price, how much are you actually paying for it? Because when I price my stuff, I'll take whatever the price of 1 pound, or half a pound if that's how I buy it. The price to replace 1 bag of whatever it is, I do that for every ingredient. So I add all that together. Whatever the next number I get from adding all those together, I take like 20% of that. That's my base price for my product. So I know I don't want to go below this price. This is 20% of what it costs to replace everything. So I do that for my products that I stock on my website. If I'm doing a custom order, the price of adding each ingredient depends on how much it costs me to replace it. So you have some that may fall between $1 and $15. Those are included. But if it costs $20 or it costs $30 to replace, which, believe it or not, to go on a website, a trusted website at that, and actually price an ingredient for being organic, cut and sifted, some of those are actually going to run to be like $30. I think, I want to say a lavender from a website that I was looking at, it was organic lavender. It was almost $30. I ended up getting my lavender from Amazon. So, like, and the reason I got it from Amazon, not only was it the same amount for cheaper, but the brand also offers several organic ingredients. So I was able to get calendula and lavender that day and spent less than $20 doing it. So when I do like an annual review, that'll change the cost of my products. So you get the product at a cheaper cost because I can get the ingredients at a cheaper cost. So when you have a company that's charging you, let's say Cantu, for example. Almost everybody has tried Cantu. Not only is it a good product, it only costs like $5 to $10 for one thing. But at the same time, it's one of those natural products. They'll advertise no parabens, no mineral oils, and a lot of other things that'll cause problems with your hair and health. But a lot of products on the market, what they don't tell you is they also add in alcohols. And these alcohols, they get into your hair and it dries it out. So once it's done drying your hair out, now you got to apply more product. And that's not saying that Cantu does have alcohol in it. I can't remember the ingredient list. But just going to a beauty shop and looking at the products that they offer, I will put it down as soon as I see alcohol. Now, there are some good alcohols and some bad alcohols that can work for your hair. That's a completely different story. That is like, that's a whole chemistry lesson right there. But it's just like, you have to be mindful of, just because a product is labeled as natural doesn't mean it's all natural. And so when I make my stuff, I make it a point to, I don't want to get anything that's refined, anything that's been bleached or deodorized. That's why if I make a whipped butter and I use cocoa butter, 9 times out of 10, no matter what else I use with it, it's going to smell like chocolate because that is raw cocoa butter.
It's going to feel like chocolate? Is that what you said?
No, it smells like chocolate.
Oh, okay.
As far as the alcohol part of products, that's something that I try to avoid as well, especially if it's like ingredient number 1 or number 2.
What? It shouldn't even be in the top 5.
For real. Like when you go to Victoria's Secret or
it's alcohol in everything.
Yeah, alcohol everywhere, and you can smell it. Like as soon as you pick up a product, you can smell the alcohol. So you know that's like ingredient number 1.
Have you ever noticed that when you use a body spray, you ever notice how long it sticks around?
Mm-hmm.
That's because when people make perfume, the alcohol helps hold the fragrance longer.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, like, if you're using a perfume, would the alcohol matter? Because you wouldn't be spraying it on your skin.
Well, it depends. Going to the dermatologist at an early age, they told me not only to spray the perfume on my clothes, but then iron behind it. And so, within the last couple months, I had been using, not recently, I'll say like towards the end of 2018, I had been using a lot of perfume. My skin started to break out in some of those spots where I used it. So that would be like right around my collarbone, my stomach, my back, my neck. And I didn't at first I didn't know why. Like, I was like, oh, I don't have any eczema right here. I should be okay to spray. Like, even though I was spraying it on my shirt, it was still in contact with my skin. And so a lot of people with sensitive skin aren't able to use products like that. So that's why I have, I don't use regular perfumes. I make my own. And it just consists of distilled water and essential oils. And from what I can tell, it lasts, I would say at least 2 hours. It's not like I can smell it because, again, like science, our bodies will get used to the smell and we can't detect it anymore. But somebody will tell me, oh, you smell good. Thank you. And it'll be like, I sprayed this when I first got to work. Okay. It's a little while later and y'all can still smell it. So I think the reason it works for distilled water and essential oils is because essential oils are already potent. If you think about it, if you were to use 1 drop of peppermint essential oil on your skin and you didn't dilute it in anything, you would instantly feel that tingle. Or if you have a cut right there, you'll feel a burn. But if you were to put there's an anti-itching gel that I used to make. It consisted of aloe vera gel, store-bought. Just keep in mind, like, if you're using fresh aloe vera, it's not gonna last nearly as long because it still has live stuff living in it, if that makes sense. So you're gonna, like, I would use store-bought aloe vera gel, and then I would combine it with tea tree oil and peppermint oil. And I always had to use a lot because when you think about how heavily, and it was like a 2-ounce bottle. If you think about how heavily diluted 10 drops of peppermint essential oil is to a 2-ounce bottle of aloe vera gel, you're not really going to feel a tingle. So a lot of times I would continue to add peppermint oil and then shake it up and put it on my skin until I could feel a tingle. And once I felt a little bit of a tingle, then I knew I had added just enough to be able to basically achieve what I was trying to do. So, well, wrapping back around to my last point on modern medicine, disadvantages can include, it might be hard to receive medical treatment if you don't have insurance. 9 times out of 10, whatever is going on with you is going to be covered, at least partially, with insurance. And if you don't have insurance, they might not want to treat you. They might not even want to hold you in a room because you don't have insurance. They're going to give that room to somebody who does. They're going to tell you take some aspirin and walk it off instead of actually taking care of you. Like some countries have free health care. Not in the U.S. They're going to ask you, do you have insurance? When you say no, they got 1 or 2 options. They can get rid of you real quick, or they can do the service anyway and bill you for that. And then when you can't pay for it and it goes to collections, they're going to get their money from the collections agency, and they're just going to let collections buy it.
I know this is something that happened with me because I had reoccurring of the same thing. What happens with insurance is they're like, well, if it happened twice within like the 12-month span, if we think you shouldn't have to deal with this twice and it happened twice, well, you got to pay for it the second time. So there's a lot of stipulations around like the finances of insurance too, or they'll be like, you have to pay $3,000 out of pocket before we even help you. Like, it's not made for people who are underprivileged at all.
Right. It's not made for the average middle class employee.
Yeah. Honestly, insurance is only really beneficial for people who are within the ideal weight range, who have no pre-existing conditions, who have a fairly healthy diet, can go work out whenever they want to, all that good stuff, like the white picket fence type of person. Yeah. If you're outside of that model, then insurance is really a nightmare.
Do y'all remember the movie Down to Earth?
No.
Okay, well, it's a Chris Rock movie where the angels weren't paying attention and homie was riding his bike at night. The angels were supposed to keep him from getting killed if it wasn't his time to go. And so they weren't paying attention. Chris Rock's character gets hit by a truck and he dies. And one angel says to the other, what just you weren't paying attention? So basically, they go to heaven, they make a deal. What? He gets a new body. Like, they gotta find this man a new body. So this old white man has passed away in his tub. His wife, which you find out like shortly thereafter, his wife was the reason he died. Cause she tried to kill him so she could be with somebody that was working for him. Yeah, I know. Y'all need to go watch it. So basically, nobody knows he's a black man because he's in a white man's body. And he falls in love with this lady. I forgot what her job title was, but she was very opposed to this white man's views on healthcare and how he was trying to close down this hospital that for some people that was all they could afford. And so him being the black man that he was and trying to impress her despite looking like a white man, he went up there talking about insurance. And so I talk about insurance reminded me, he was like, basically insurance is like just in case something happens. And he was like, well, if I known this was gonna happen, I would have got hurt sooner or something like that. I was like, you know what? That's true. We pay all this money for insurance just for them to tell us what we can and can't use it for and what they will and won't pay for. So you mean to tell me I cough up X amount of money per month and y'all pull a certain amount of money tax out of a certain portion of my taxes goes to Medicaid. You telling me I pay all this health insurance stuff and you not going to cover this procedure that I need?
Yeah. It's really like, I don't want to get into a whole conspiracy theory, but I really feel like, well, I'm not even feel like, I know that the whole system is not made for everyone to live. It is not made for everyone to have a quality of life, and it's not made to help everyone. It is made to
It's
help
not even made
small
to
select
respect people.
What?
It's not even made to respect everybody.
That too. But I mean, if you think about it, these same, okay, hate to get off on a tangent, but real quick, these same procedures about like insurance and all that are written by in a lot of cases, they're written by people who are like, well, if you're poor, you don't really deserve any luxuries because you're poor, and obviously you should just work harder to be able to afford it. So if you have that same mindset, and that is how our society is set up in a lot of ways, if you're poor, well, oh well, you shouldn't do anything fun ever, or you shouldn't have any type of like comfort ever because you're poor, and that will keep you poor forever if we help you. Like, these are the same ideals that extend to our insurance. So it's like, well, you're poor, you can't afford to do something. Me not helping you will motivate you to go out and get better insurance or a better job. And it's like, in a perfect world, but there are too many disparities for that to work. You know, like, sometimes you just can't do it. I don't know. It's a whole tangent, but yeah.
Alright, next topic. We're going to talk about ancient medicine. So this is like, alright, let's start here. The medicine we use today is more or less an evolved form of the traditional methods that civilizations all around the world actually use. So if you think China, Egypt, all these other places, Africa's been using shea butter for forever. And somewhere around the world, somebody just discovered the butters. And they're mad that nobody told them. She's like, I have this biracial child, and she's been walking around asking, why didn't nobody tell me about the butters?
No, she was like, why didn't black people? She specifically was like, black people have been using butters, and they haven't told us, and I'm angry. And I'm like, well, nobody was keeping it from you. Like, we're sorry you didn't pay attention.
You know what?
Bath and Body Works butter, but it's not our issue.
Alright, so moving forward, a lot of our medicines that we use today are based on traditional methods. So just off rip, some of the herbs and preparations that you can look for, eucalyptus, peppermint, calendula, and lavender are some of the big ones I use. Each of them, except calendula. I don't think calendula comes in an essential oil form, but you can get a lot of the herbs in essential oil forms, and they're always going to be more potent, so you have to dilute them. Eucalyptus, if you use that essential oil, it's like a pesticide. It'll help keep bugs away. Spiders also don't like things that smell like mint. So I remember, if I would see a spider in the house, I had this bottle of leftover anti-itch spray that I made for my scalp, which consisted of water, coconut oil, and peppermint essential oil. So I would start spraying that around the house to try and get rid of the spiders. You can also make room sprays with essential oil. What you want to go for just depends on what's available. But just a little background, peppermint can be very stimulating. So that's and it also has a cooling effect as an essential oil. One thing I have noticed is that I can take a batch of oil and I can continuously infuse it over and over with dried peppermint leaves, and it won't have the same effect as an essential oil, but it'll have a slight, very, very slight cooling. And I think it's kind of interesting because, when you think of regular herbs, you don't think of them as, for lack of a better word, potent. You don't think they're very strong. But the more times that you infuse the same batch of oil, the stronger it's going to get.
What is a regular oil versus an essential oil?
A regular peppermint oil is going to be like taking olive or grapeseed oil, which would be considered a carrier oil. Taking one of those oils and infusing it with the herb of your choice. Versus, I think essential oils are steam distilled. You basically have to buy a distilling machine, and you'll put the herbs in the water, and it takes it up through these tubes, and it's a little bit of a complicated process. It makes a small amount. The same way you can make a hydrosol at home. For example, if you wanted to make a rose hydrosol to use as a toner for your face, you would put like a rock or a brick, something sturdy in the bottom of a bowl, and then you put a bowl on top. So you fill the inside of the pot with water, and you'll add the roses. You'll take a lid for the pot, and you'll turn it upside down. Don't use it if it has a hole in it, but you turn it upside down and you add ice. And as the water inside boils, and the ice on top melts, it'll cause condensation to fall into the cup that you have in the middle of the pot sitting on top of your rock or your brick or whatever. What's forming from that condensation is a hydrosol, and that is a very concentrated form of the rose water that you're making. So it's the same way with essential oils. You take how much ever of the herb and the water and all, but you're still only get a small amount. And because it's a small amount, it's very concentrated. Calendula is also a very healing herb. You can use it to also, it has anti-inflammatory properties. So it's really good for people that have dry skin or eczema and psoriasis. It's also one of the few herbs that you can use on babies. Lavender is the same way. It has anti-inflammatory properties. It's one of my go-tos. There's a set of herbs that I use in an anti-inflammatory steam that I use for my face. And the more consistent I am with using it, the better appearance of my face. I might have like this super huge pimple somewhere, but the more consistent I am with using that particular blend of anti-inflammatory herbs to steam my face, the better the spot gets without me actually having to pick at it.
Thank you so much for listening. Leave us some comments under this video of any natural remedies or complementary medicines that you've tried and how they've worked out for you. We will be back in 2 weeks as always with episode 4. And unfortunately there is no new funny episode this week, but we still have 2 great comical episodes already uploaded. One talking about is a hot dog a sandwich, and the other questioning is water wet. So feel free to check those out. They don't disappoint. Be love and light. Bye guys.